So I never really thought I'd be sharing a green cookie, but here we are, and honestly, I have no regrets. This one was just too good not to share. I think you're going to love these Grinch-inspired cookies. They're so easy to make, perfectly festive, great for Christmas, and they have a true Christmassy flavor. You'll know what I mean when you try them. These are also great because the kids love making them. They're so easy to make at home, so let's get started. The first thing you want to do is get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and grab yourself a large mixing bowl. To this, we are going to add 1 cup of softened unsalted butter. We're also going to add 1 2/3 cups of granulated sugar. No brown sugar in today's recipe because we're going to be coloring these cookies green. If you add brown sugar, it adds a little bit of a brown tint. It makes it harder to achieve that Grinchy color we're going for. Now you're going to want to use either a stand mixer or an electric hand mixer. We're going to cream together the butter and sugar until they are light and fluffy, until they're well creamed. All right, slide this out of the way just a little bit, and now we're going to add our eggs. You'll need 2 large eggs, and I recommend using room temperature eggs for this recipe. I'm gonna use one of my green eggs since we're making Grinch cookies. I don't know how well that color is gonna come through for you. I hope it looks the true olive color it is and not brown on camera. This is from one of my new chickens. Here's one of my more blue-green eggs. We have a lot of variety here. They all taste the same though. You can use a white egg or a brown egg or whatever you have. The color of the shell does not matter. Let's slide this back over. We'll add our eggs. We'll also add our flavoring. I'm going to be using 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'm also going to be adding a teaspoon of peppermint extract, which gives these a nice festive flavor, but it's also not super strong. It's nice and subtle, which is how I like my mint in my desserts. We'll stir these things together until they're nicely combined. And I smell that mint. Let's slide this out of the way. Oops. Try not to make too much noise. And grab a separate bowl for your dry ingredients. We're going to start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. We will add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, I love using cornstarch in my recipes, at least where it works. What the cornstarch is going to do here is it's one of the reasons we don't have to chill this cookie dough. It's going to help keep the cookies appropriately thick, keep them from spreading too much, but it's also not going to make them dry or cakey like adding extra flour would do. It's my secret ingredient. I use it in my worst chocolate chip cookie recipes and so many others. We're also going to add baking powder and baking soda. You will need 1 teaspoon of each of those and a teaspoon of salt. This is just regular table salt, nothing fancy. And we will whisk or stir these ingredients together. The important thing is your leavening agents and cornstarch, everything gets nicely combined and distributed. Let's bring back our wet ingredients. We're going to gradually add our dry ingredients to our wet. I usually do this in 3 or 4 parts. So there's a bit, and I'm going to stir until that is just combined before adding the next bit. I try not to overmix this dough. I like to go until it's pretty much just combined and all the flour has been absorbed, because overmixing it can warm up the butter and make the cookies more prone to spreading. Now, if you run into that issue, you can always pop your dough in the fridge, chill it for like 15 to 30 minutes, cover it first with plastic wrap, and that will solve your problem. But I want to be able to cook these right away, so keeping my butter from getting too warm is key. And when we start with our softened butter, it's also important that that not be melty or too soft. Otherwise, you're going to run into the same issue and you'll just need to chill your dough. Okay, so this isn't perfectly combined yet, but we're also not done mixing. If you would like, you can color your cookies green to make them really Grinch inspired. This is optional if you don't want to use food coloring, or if you just want the food coloring from the M&Ms. That's fine, you can leave it out, the cookies will still be delicious, but we are going to color ours. So I recommend, let me get this off my hand real quick or I'll be there forever. Food coloring is unforgiving, it will stain everything, so use it carefully. I am using a gel food coloring. It's what I recommend. Gel food coloring is potent, so you don't have to use as much as if you were using a liquid food coloring. So I'm going to add just a couple drops of this, and I'll stir this in, and then if I need more or I want a greener color, I'll add more. And that particular coloring is Americolor Leaf Green. You don't have to use that exact one, but it works pretty well for me. All right, let me get that dough out of the beaters. That was like 5 drops of the food coloring, but they were pretty small drops. Just going to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl, get everything well incorporated. All right, this is looking pretty good. I'm happy with the color. So now I'm going to add my M&Ms. Of course, you want to use Festive red and green M&Ms. Hopefully they have them available to you already sorted into these colors and you don't have to pick up the red and green like I have done before. I'm gonna go add these in. Now I have a 1.5 cups of M&Ms, but I'm not going to add them all into the batter because I like to save some for pressing on top. Let's see, I'll probably save like a 1/4 cup for pressing on top of the cookies. These smell so good. They smell like Christmas. All right, and we can get right to scooping your cookies. We'll portion these into 1.5 tablespoon or even slightly rounded 1.5 tablespoon size scoops. And you can just drop these cookies on the baking sheet, but because I like mine to look a little bit prettier, I will just very briefly roll them between my palms. While this cookie dough can be baked right away, if you notice your cookies spreading more than you'd like, again, just cover them, pop them in the fridge. Also, you can make this cookie dough in advance, like I'd say up to 3 or 4 days in advance. Just cover it, put it in the refrigerator, and then you can bake it. The cookie dough will get kind of firm while it sits in the fridge, so you might need to let it sit at room temperature for like 10 or 15 minutes before it's easily scoopable. All right, these will head in the oven where they're going to bake for about 9 to 11 minutes. To tell that they're done, you can look for some very, very, very light golden brown happening around the edges, but I actually like to pull them out just a minute before that happens because I like the cookies to look green all the way through. What you're looking for is edges that are set and centers that look mostly baked through. If they look a little underbaked, that's okay. We're going to let them cool completely on the baking sheet where they'll finish cooking all the way through. All right. So you can see we don't have any golden browning, but if you lightly touch the edges, they're set, they feel firm. The centers are going to be softer, but they shouldn't just cave in when you touch them. That would be a sign they need more time in the oven. These came out pretty round, but I want to show you guys my cheat trick that I do if my cookies ever don't come out round. I just take a pair of spoons and I will gently round them. You can't really see how well this works because these cookies came out pretty nicely, but I just wanted to tell you about that because it's Christmas cookie season, not seasoning, and we all want our cookies to look the best. And this is just one little trick to help that. Some people like to use like a biscuit cutter and they'll like swirl it around the cookie. I don't like that trick. It damages the structural integrity of the cookie. It can make it too flat. That's just not my preference. This is what I do. And then remember we saved some of those M&Ms within like a minute or 2 of the cookies coming out of the oven. You can gently nestle the M&Ms into the surface of each cookie. Is this optional? Yes, you can absolutely just toss the M&Ms into the dough. But if you want your cookies to look pretty, this is just an easy way to make that happen. And it helps to sort of like anchor them in there by pushing the edge in a little bit. Otherwise, if you just kind of set them on top, they could fall off when your cookies are cooled. All right, remember how I mentioned you don't want these cookies to bake too much in the oven, so the centers are still a little bit underdone. Because of that, we're going to let them cool completely on the baking sheet before we remove them. If you're super anxious to get your baking sheet back in baking action, you can wait a minimum of 10 minutes before removing them. And that is how you make these super fun and festive Grinch-inspired cookies. If you tried these at home, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, the best part of the show, for me anyway. This is a good one. There's one thing I'm proud about, it's my cookies. I'm really proud of my cookies, guys. This is no exception. Oh my gosh.